Okay, hello. This is going to be part 2 of the tutorial series for the GEO Pro 3D software. In this tutorial, we're going to be going over opening scans and going through in the preliminary of using filters and working with the AI so it will create images for us of potential targets in the ground. And so to start with, we'll open one of our known test files that we use quite a bit. And this file was taken here in my yard over a known, it's exactly where our sewer line goes, which is a 4-inch plastic pipe. And of course, in a backfilled trench, it was probably done 20, 30 years ago. And it's a pretty amazing scan, actually. And you can see it's really easy to open scan. So just instantly, just to show you right off the bat, this is actually the signature from the ditch itself, is this backfill signature. And then this V is being caused because, and you can see it stripping all the way through here, because there's a low magnetic field there. And that's actually the plastic pipe. So you basically have the ditch, the backfill to the ditch, and the plastic pipe runs right through there at 4 inches, just like you can kind of see. And that's basically what we call a gap in the data. And this would be a general scan without any type of AI or anything like that. It's just straightforward. So, and this is based on the amplitude, and then this is based on the frequency. And you can see in both of them, we have that anomaly where it runs through. And you'll see there's a lot of similarity to other scanning software and things. And this is usually about as far as you get. And they offer a little bit of filtering. And then what we're going to go over as well is the lower chart, which is basically a 5D artificial intelligence smart grid. And it uses kind of a multispectral understanding of what's going on. And you can see we have a huge spike. And that spike is actually set up, that's how we start off, because it's really good for target ID. And you'll see the windows kind of compressed height-wise a little bit, but that's no big deal. And later revisions will probably figure out a way to stretch that, but it doesn't really matter for what we're doing. So we always start out, almost always, with just one hit on this, and that's because the AI will then draw our forms of our potential targets in. And it's interesting because you'll notice these are all drawn here, but their values are completely different than the chart. Of course, these are at the very top, and it's showing us some of these. You can see a white marker showing up there. And when we get on a potential object, it turns from a kind of a grayish color to black in that window. And that's actually, that window is being made by the artificial intelligence, and it's pointing out that it believes it's tracing a target. And it'll happen at different points, and you'll see that window will change. Like right there, the window is white, and it's not sensing anything there. But as soon as I get down and get it on a target location, then it's going to show up as a darker charcoal or black. Okay, so it's trying to identify there's an object here. And these are different material objects, but not every object in the scan is showing, but it's determining at this level what it wants to show you. And it's actually trying to figure out depth. We don't know how to calculate it yet, because we have to talk to the AI. So the difference in forms is this is what a magnetic field looks like on the right there in red. And this is actually the AI drawing a potential object. When you get things that are this symmetrical like this, that's what that really is. And it's the AI trying to figure it out, and it literally draws a target. And you can see there's a value there. Now, the white line around it is the magnetic field, and it assumes this is the shape that's creating it. You'll see it's showing up in a different color than the rest of everything else in here, and that's because it's going to be a different material. So it's also figuring out materials. Now, if, like I said, this is based on a certain filter setting, and we can look at this nail right here and go, wow, that's pretty amazing. And I happen to know this file pretty well. So in order to make it draw this target, which it's now just showing us the field signature, and if you want, I can back up. We can look at the top as well. We can change our depth, our scan height chart to run up, and I'll show you the actual nail target here. So this is the nail target, is this one. And if I bring us up maybe one more click, we cover it. Okay, so that's not going to work. And I think it zoomed in a little. Yeah, it did. Okay, so we notice if I go one more, we cover it. So I can kind of fine tune that with the depth one here, and I can bring it down to a very small shape. Now that is our actual nail itself, but we still are looking at the form of the magnetic field. Oh, we got a little crazy there. We're still looking at the form of the magnetic field, so it's not even or anything like that. But then what happens is if we work the same data, and I think we can just go scan height to bottom it out. We'll bottom out the depth again. And we'll go down here and we'll look at the same mark on the 2D scan. You're going to see what happens. Now above, like I said, we were looking at the field shape, which is off, and it shows what the field looks like. But if we then work this data a little bit and move it down a little, eventually, there you go. It's going to draw what it thinks. Now, this is pretty sensitive at this level because I'm zooming way in here. I could pass it up. Let's see. No, it'll take it out sometimes at certain zoom levels. Okay, so there I kind of lost it. And it's already showing us there's an object here. This is what the white tracing is. Anything it sees as a definite line completes it, and then you'll actually notice over in the corner on the right, it just showed us another potential target. Did you see that geometric form show up on the right side over there? And we'll go look at that here in a minute, which is getting really interesting. But it's actually IDing something. It's saying, hey, I think there's something over here. So this is, there we go. We get a good look at it right there. This is our target that it's telling us about. And of course, it's lining up here. And you'll see it's not all in the grid form. Now, we're at 1 foot scan resolution, and it's still finding this in the scan data, even though it's small, and it's drawing a line around it. And for a little better example of what we're looking at, I will show you the workup on this, which is not too difficult to pull up here. And we got to make sure it's going to show correctly. I believe it will. So, and hopefully it doesn't blast out the whole screen like it was doing earlier. So I'm going to check that real quick, you guys. Bear with me. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so what we see on the right then is the same object. And you're going to see the nail that it actually is. We recovered the nail, and it matches it to the millimeter. Of course, it blows out on the sides because magnetic fields look like a balloon, and it still compressed it to there. We could probably have a discussion with the AI sometime. We need to compress iron just a little bit more, and it would actually get the nail right to the number. But the ability of the software, let's see if we can make it. No, we're not going to be able to. The ability of the software to identify the nail and draw a shape of it is what is impressive. I mean, I've never seen anything like this do this before in my life. So let's take a look at that other target that it was trying to show us a second ago, saying, hey, I think there's another target over here. And that was right over here in the data. And so if we do this, so we've got, you can notice on the left-hand side of the file photo, that there's some information there. And so anyone can load the scan. We have this up as a sample scan. Anyone can load the sample scan, and then they can change the settings to this, and it's going to pop up this target. If you load it and change it to the other one, the same thing is going to happen. So if we back out here and we go to the other artifact that we've recovered, so we have a control, it's this one right here. Okay, so now we have numbers here naturally on the side. So all we really got to do is take our scan height was set at 2 for this other object. And I think we're a click off because this was done with the previous version. So this whole version analyzes it differently. So it'll put us close. But it's even showing our target right there. All I got to do is go to here. And it's showing there's a potential target on that intersection, if I can get it to run on that line. So it's very hard to communicate with the AI, but it works. So right next to us there's an actual potential target it's lining out. And so we're going to set, like I said, scan height there. Our low pass, which is now low amp, is at 84. So we're going to take it all the way to 84, or that's 82. Okay, and you can already see here that now a square shows up. Now that's the AI, there we go, drawing us in a perfect square. And that's not quite the target. We're going to throw a high-pass filter in 91, which is now high amp. And it's going to be all the way over here somewhere, 8678. And we provide sliders to make it easy to control, but you see your number values in the boxes. You can also change those number values, or you can type them in. And then our depth is at 0. And wow, we hit the 0 and look at our form. Our form is exactly what it is in the picture. And we know from the picture that it's actually accurate to 1 millimeter. And that's the target ID line coming up. At the top of that line, it's going to have a text window, and that text window will be black, showing you there's a complete object form here. And so this is the AI looking in the field. The important part about this is we're using a magnetometer, and a magnetometer doesn't see aluminum. It's blind to aluminum. But this is an aluminum artifact in the ground, or target in the ground, and it's still making it out. Not only is it making it out, that when we capture a photo of this, which is this feature up here in the top right, we have a menu that shows up. And if you capture an image, and we're going to try to correct this, but the image captured will come up the right color for the material. So on the left, we see a brilliant green. And I think the color chart's a little different on this new program, but this is actually around 800, 900 kilohertz is where the audio tone response was for this. So then this material is going to throw that with that machine. The Rover C puts out, that's the audio tone it's putting out for this material, even though a magnetometer doesn't see aluminum. What it's actually seeing here is it's using the relationships around it. It's seeing an absence of material and then a resonance. And the absence of the material here makes like a hole in the data. But since it has a resonant value, it's not a void, it's an item. And the AI is comparing that to everything else. And it pushes these fields in until they don't push anymore. And then when it does, it draws lines at that barrier when it compresses the field against it. And it knows there's something there fighting the field. And so that's how the AI is analyzing what we got seeing. And here you see the walls of the ditch again. And of course, even under this setting, you still see the linear features right here where my mouse is, and not the white lines that are showing up. Those are complete forms, so they're just indicating that these are there. But the linear feature here, that gap in the data and these lines we see right here, that's indicating there's a straight structure there. And as we change the depth values, you can actually watch. Well, actually, it's fighting. So you see how hard it is? It stays solid while everything changes around it. Okay, so, and it has, that's what it is. So an object, only an object will do that. And then if we put it under different filters, you'll see that that changes dramatically how that is. Now, they're still showing a linear form. Something there is interrupting the field. But when the filter, there we go, right there. Okay, so we see, again, we see the lines. But that's the point, is that there's something there messing with the field all the time. And so as you play with your filters, it's going to reveal or hide these things from you based on these settings. So based on where we put this low amp or high amp. So this is really responsive to iron signature, the low. The highs is giving you your blues or the others. And what we're doing is we're turning those values down. And as we change it here, we see, again, we have a linear feature start to show up. Now you see these rounds? Each of these are because there's a wall here. And that is the walls to our ditch that you can see back here. And the ditch wall runs right along those points, right along these points. And you can see the circles forming. And that's because that's the barrier of the wall. Now the squared off ends of the field are where the plastic pipe is. And that's how you have to read, scan data. You can play with these filters if you just want to see the ditch. You can play with the filters until the ditch becomes more apparent. And then you work within your depth region here, and you can go back and forth and track the trench there if you watch it. You can kind of see this trench forming. You can see how linear this is. And it's drawing that line all the way around. And this line goes around that aluminum object that's laying here. It's affecting the field, making a hole in the field. But as you can see, we can run our depth up and down to look at our ditch and the structure of our ditch, and it'll show up different details of it. And potentially this is actually moisture that's leaking from the pipe and making a plume area here. So, but you kind of get the gist of what to do with the data. And if when we really go to town on this stuff, we can bring up individual objects, heights. We can test those objects for their strength and power. If you bring up your scan height, like I can bring these objects to the surface. If we give her one low amp, we go one high amp, bring our deal up, I can show you another feature that we're going to go recover. Let's see here. Let's go down to here before we said, there we go. Okay, so this is another target that I'm going to go recover. It's in the yard, and we'll see what it is. But scanning it with metal detectors, get out just a little bit, drag it over. Scanning it with metal detectors, it seems to be exactly the same form, and it's deeper than the nail. And that's really cool, is this is actually showing this up as well, deeper than the nail. So if I raise my scan height, well, that's going to be too extreme. So let's use our depth gauge down here. You'll see that when I get to my smallest signature for my nail, which is this red peak right here, this is underground. And as I reveal a little more depth, it starts to show. Now, I'm not showing it all right there, so I'm going to go drop this one down and raise this one back up to fine tune it. And we'll see if I like what images give me. So this is actually an even little tighter view, and you're seeing this target here. And then if we go, since we've refined it down, and that's what the AI wants you to do, is refine it to its lowest limit usually. And then it will go down here and try to draw. If I can move it up, come on. It'll also scale sometimes. We're not sure why it does that, but it's a little weird. Because the AI is controlling everything about the grid, even the zoom, unfortunately. But you can see here, so it's already drawing a rectangular pattern there. And then if I change my depth, we'll compress it. And I lost it. We'll see if we can get her back. Now it's throwing up just a bar. So I know from experience, if we just throw this onto 1, throw our depth down here, and we'll start to draw a refined object. Now, I've never tried to get this object to refine any farther. I'm not sure it will. I think it might be accurate to what it is, but normally the AI will draw an actual form here of that target. I think we'd have to probably play with the filters and compress it and see what point we can compress it with which filter. But that's kind of how it works. So you're going to work these down, and these filters are going to help you put pressure basically on different targets to try to get them to refine to their smallest shape. So if I use, there we go right there. That is likely the smallest shape we're going to get out of that. And if we use depth now, trying to get it to draw us a form. But you can see it, whatever it is, it's very rectangular. We don't want to zoom anymore, do we? Yeah, our grid's got us locked up a little bit. AI is trying to be careful here. And you can see where the pipe runs through the field, an absence of field there. But this guy right here is what we're kind of trying to crig down to. Yeah, so anyway, you get the point here, I think. We might have to go all the way up into the higher zone. Oh, that's going to be as far as she lets us compress. So all we know for sure is that's an object. And we can look at a little more field information here. See, as we bring up the low pass, we're enhancing the other frequency, basically. So we may be able to bring up some of the high frequency. Nope. There we go. So we're getting down to, it is IDing a target there. Okay, so we have our line that's showing up that tells us, hey guys, I think I have a target when we get onto it, which is right there. So it's charcoal, so that would be our target ID. And we're trying to use these filters to kind of push and pull on it and see. Now it's no longer rectangular, because I think we're more looking at the raw field right here. So more accurate is probably on this one. You see what we do here. So there's an edge that it's creating. You can see an edge here, but it's not drawing that feature at all anymore. It is saying we have another little item here. And we're just going to see what we do when we push on that and pull on that with this setting. And so it's lighting up other objects and other things in the field. So that's pretty much what you're going to do. You're going to play with these filters. So you can see it draw the shape across the item there. It's square, square, and then square the other side. So you definitely have to have a square object there. Of course, and if we return back to here, we're going to get our square object and turn the high frequency down a notch. And go low amp, make it reset. And there's our rectangle. But like I said, this is why we always start on one click on low amp. If you click on one click on high amp, it often will do things, cause anomalies, and stop things from registering. So you always want to start on the one click on the low amp first, and then you'll get your target. Like this target up here. Okay, come on, work with me a little here, there, guy. Yeah, so sometimes it's trying to buffer the zoom so you don't over zoom and stuff, but the AI kind of messes up. We're working on all that. But this target here that you can see, if I was to go in here and start on low amp or a high amp filter, that target becomes this big series, just a circle. If I then go to low amp, I get my other one. Okay, but then regardless of what I do, I don't get that object back. Even if I turn it off, turn it back on, turn that off, turn it back on, it doesn't matter. But if they're both off, watch this. And you give one click a low amp, bam, we got our target. And that's the other one that it's made in the field. And of course, it's showing it up as green. So whatever its metals are way different than the rest of this. And I have no idea what that is yet. But I'm going to go ahead and back out and let that conclude. Now, if the grid gets laggy or if the zoom starts doing that to you where it's trying to control your zoom ratio, see now it's returning. It does that when you're at close zoom, so it stops you from over zooming. And the AI is controlling it, like I said. So if it does ever do anything weird that you don't want it to do, and then what you're going to do is go, oh, wow, you're being a jerk. I'm going to go up here to view in the top, hit force reload, and that reloads the entire thing instantly. And then you can just go reopen that file, and it usually pick right back up where it left off. And that'll clear any faults, kriging faults, anything else you're doing. And you'll notice too, we're back to the same settings, but that shape is no longer green. Because as we play with all this, the AI is looking at it and realizing different things. That's how we drag it down to individual targets, push them, then we assist the AI, then it goes, oh, cool, that's this. And then we mess with other targets and it starts to say, wait a second, the last one was different, I'm going to change the color of it. And so as you work with the AI, it's kind of a communication process. But the potential is, of course, just like this image here, the potential is being able to image just about anything right down to the millimeter and get the AI to draw you the actual form of the object that you're looking at. You know, I mean, to me, the nail's even more impressive, I think, than the pull tab, even though the pull tab Should be impossible because it's aluminum, but here you go. It is with the nail. So, and it's amazing how accurate. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. I still can't believe it. I call it freaky magic. Okay, but that's a good deal. Thanks for watching, and we'll get on to the next tutorial, and we'll see what we can offer you for insights and assistance. Thanks.